And good afternoon. This is your friend Tironan, your friendly neighborhood Tironan. And I thought we might record my session with the IL2. Uh, those of you who saw my rather feeble attempts at working with the previous tier and an attack run, uh, I've since had some help from one of our my friendly subscribers, Dean, and he kind of clued me in on what it takes to be a little more successful with this particular type of attack. And so we're attempting to do just that. And I'm going to back up here just a little bit so I can actually get a good attack run in on this AA base. So we've had a little more success with this. And now what we're attempting to do is finish up what I started. As you can see, when it comes to armored targets, you really want to use your ordnance for that. Take advantage of where your guns can come in handy. And hopefully somebody will get this guy off my tail sooner or later. And, well, what can you say? Sometimes the guys don't want to cooperate quite as much. I was hoping we'd get a little more support than we got, but we didn't. But we had a very successful run there, and we'll try again here in a little bit, and hopefully have our act together. So far, it is not looking that good for the home team here, and that's unfortunate because I was really looking forward to having a successful run to show you guys, and we just don't. I do see a couple of our guys working there. I'd very much like to get a successful run in. And I don't see any place else that's working that well.
The enemy is about to win. Push harder.
And we'll try to do a bombing run here.
You've done what you could. Go back to base.
And that's about all I could do. Alright, but there's things to bring up here, and taking advice from Dean, I got better at this, and we'll explain why. When you look at some of the areas, you'll notice that they're all squared in. Uh, and they're going to have either round, square, or triangular markers on them. Triangular markers are always going to go for the AA guns. Square markers are going to be armored targets. And the round targets are just soft targets. and you can take them down with your guns. So you gotta have to prioritize as you make your sweeps through. If the enemy's got anything going on for their side at all, they're going to make things pretty tough on you. And so um, you'll notice that we took out in that short time 6 ground targets. We did over 14,000 points of damage to it. So I've done my job. I can't do much about the other team, and I kind of took myself in the corner and had a little discussion about not letting the other team's failures get to you. All right, and I do apologize if I came across as being a little frustrated the other day with the attack run, but um, it was a lesson I needed to learn. So take it for what it's worth. Anyway, the Aleutian is pretty heavily armored. It has really decent guns on it. We've got the upgrades here we're going to talk about here just a little bit. These are the ones you're going to want for ground attack. Um, when you get these, you notice it has 8 rockets, it has 4 bombs, and then you get your gun upgrade here. This is not as important, though you do get more survivability. You get 800 points of survivability, which is nice. Let you get a couple of runs in. If you get any support, you can actually survive to the end of the game. That's happened a few times, though not as often as I would like. What we're looking here is for here is the autocannon upgrade. It's a 23 millimeter, much more effective range. It does a little more damage. And what you really want is this. And the reason is it's effective against armored targets. So when you run out of bombs and rockets against your hard targets, you still have a means to attack the very heavily armored targets and take them out. And that will give you lots of opportunities to cause more damage. And more damage as quickly as you can get it done is what you're after here. Um, Obviously, you're most times you're going to have the robo defenses fighters up to give you a fit, and you need to get that done very quickly. We don't have a rear gunner on this yet. That's not until the next plane. So it's just a matter. Uh, and target selection, you're going to have to see. In that particular case, we lost it so early and so thoroughly that there was no cover available. That's going to happen from time to time, but normally you want to go in right behind the fighters when the fighters are all tangled up around each other and squabbling it out. Run in, do all the damage you can do. By the time they finally turn their attention to you, that gives you should have already got your damage done. It's also an excellent opportunity if you see the enemy's anti-aircraft, or I should say attack aircraft and ground support and heavy fighters coming in. All that firepower you've got that's so great at taking out armored targets works just great against planes too. And quite often will find a chance to shoot down the enemy's attack aircraft and multi-role and um, ground support aircraft. And a little bit of the history of this. This was actually designed as a Army cooperation close attack fighter, ground attack fighter, and it was considered so important that the MiG-3 was stopped to concentrate on the, the factories that made this also made the MiG-3. The engine that this used was also used in the MiG-3. It was considered so important that MiG-3 production was stopped. They didn't have that much use for a high altitude fighter anyway. Most of the fighter combat took place at middle to low altitude, so they went with the Yak line for that, and the Lobachkin, which used a radial engine later on to get this particular aircraft. It would go through this all the way through the IL-10, I believe, in the development cycle, and you can see that in the tech tree right here. Yeah, So our previous aircraft and my first introduction to this was the BSH-2. That was pretty funny just from the fact that I had no clue what I was doing whatsoever. Learned a little bit since then. This At this point you start getting rear gunners, um, and they'll go on. In fact, I believe the entire line is attack aircraft. So we'll continue to make these videos so you can see them. They were considered so important to the Soviet Army that they were prioritized over almost all other aircraft. The Yak and the Lags were the three main, and Joseph Solid said that the Sturmovik was like bread and air to the Army. So it gives you an idea just how much the Soviet Union at that time put on this aircraft. Sorry about that. That one kind of caught up on me. Okay, so let's get back to where we need to be. I'm sure my email doesn't interest you much. And we'll get back to the hangar here. And that will do it for this particular run. I wanted to get this video out to you as soon as we got this near completion. There's only one more upgrade to do on this, I believe, and that will be the 37mm cannon. That's will probably come out the day after this one does. I'm going to schedule this for Wednesday, and hopefully you'll have a great day with it. All right, once again, if you like the video, please do press the like button. If you'd like to subscribe, I've got the subscription button up there. I can use all the help we can get. I'm a new content provider, and we do need it. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure spending some time with you, and I'll see you tomorrow.